Welcome to Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at today's major headlines. President Tinubu approves Anti-Doping Agency Board as National Sports Commission secures major reform. Federal government orders strict procurement compliance for capital projects. Plus, Trump's Board of Peace members pledge $7 billion in Gaza relief. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. Many thanks for staying tuned. Our first report this morning is that President Bola Tinubu has approved the constitution of the Board of Nigerian Anti-Doping Agency, a major compliance milestone aimed at consolidating Nigeria's status as a clean sporting nation and meeting key requirements set by global regulators. Chairman of the National Sports Commission, NSC, Shehu Diko, disclosed this to journalists after briefing the president at the State House, Abuja, describing the approval as a decisive step following nearly 2 decades of legislative delay. According to him, although the anti-doping bill had lingered for about 20 years, President Tinubu signed it into law last year and has now given the green light for the board to be constituted, one of the critical conditions demanded by the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA. Away from that, the federal government has directed all ministries, departments and agencies to strictly follow procurement laws when carrying out projects and making payment until the 2025/2026 capital budget, warning that any violation of due process will not be accepted. Similarly, it has also assured that 30% of the 2025 capital budget will be implemented between now and December 31, 2026. This directive was announced in Abuja by Bawa Mukwa, Director of Press and Public Relations in the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. He said the instruction was given by the Minister of State for Finance, Doris Uzoka Anita, during a stakeholders meeting on the implementation of the extended 2025 capital budget held at the Federal Ministry of Finance. According to the statement, the minister told government agencies that all capital payments must strictly comply with the provisions of the Public Procurement Act and that no project should begin unless funds are available. She warned that no payment should be processed outside approved procurement procedures. Meanwhile, the directive is part of ongoing efforts by the government to improve financial discipline, ensure transparency in public spending, and guarantee that capital projects deliver value for money for Nigerians. From the Red Chambers, the Senate has expressed concerns over poor budget implementation by the federal government, citing low or zero releases of capital votes to ministries, departments and agencies (MDAs). The Senate Committee on Appropriations, led by Senator Olamilekan Adiola, APC Ogun West, raised the issue during an interactive session with the Federal Economic Team on the realistic implementation of the proposed 58.472 trillion naira 2026 budget and the completion of the capital component of the 2024 and 2025 budget by March 31, 2026. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, told the committee that funding for the capital component of the 2024 and 2025 budget was still ongoing, a response that did not sit well with lawmakers. On his part, the chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service, Dr. Zak Adedeji, explained that unrealistic budget assumptions hinder effective implementation, stressing that budget funding must come with realistic projections. Senator Adiola highlighted the gap between projected and actual oil revenue, questioning how performance could jump from 18% in 1 year to projected 36.5% the next, while actual results remained below expectations. He asked whether the 58.472 trillion naira 2026 budget should be reduced or adjusted, noting that debt financing is already high and suggesting that asset disposals could reduce overall debt stock and borrowing costs. The Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Doris Nkiruka Uzoka Anita, assured the committee that 30% capital components of the 2024 and 2025 budget would be fully implemented by March 31, 2026. She said payment for outstanding 2024 capital project had commenced and that MDAS had been instructed to upload cost plans for 2025 to enable timely disbursements. The committee is expected to deliberate further on whether to adjust or reduce the 2026 budget in light of these implementation challenges. In a separate development, ahead of the Saturday, February 21 area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has declared today a work-free day and announced a restriction of movement from 8 p.m. today to 6 p.m. on Saturday. Wike made the announcement in a special broadcast urging residents of the FCT to come out en masse to vote for candidate of their choice. This was disclosed in a statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and Social Media to the Minister, Larry Olayinka. We move now to another development where the Abuja residence of former Governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai, has been searched by officials of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC. The development was confirmed in a brief statement by his media advisor, Muyiwa Adekeye. According to the statement, ICPC officials arrived at El-Rufai's residence yesterday and immediately began searching the entire property. Meanwhile, El-Rufai's lawyer, Ubong Akpan, has condemned the raid, describing it as unlawful and a clear violation of legal procedures and fundamental rights. Let's move now to Africa, where Ivory Coast would reportedly emulate Ghana by cutting the price paid to farmers for their cocoa beans. Recall that Ghana said last week it was cutting the price paid to farmers by nearly 30% to 41 cedis per tons of cocoa. Authorities said the move was needed to stabilize the sector, which has struggled due to fall in the global cocoa prices. Reports say the farm gate price is set at the start of the harvest season. Still in Africa, Russian President Vladimir Putin has welcomed Madagascar's President Michael Randrianirina to Kremlin, pledging to deepen bilateral ties across multiple sectors and collaborate on international platforms. In his welcoming remarks, Putin highlighted many interesting directed interactions between the two nations, citing agriculture, geological exploration, energy, medicine, healthcare, and education as key areas of cooperation. He noted that Madagascan youth are already training in Russian higher education institutions, with many obtaining qualifications. On a foreign scene, several countries which have signed up to Donald Trump's Board of Peace have contributed more than $7 billion towards a Gaza relief package. Trump made the announcement during the first meeting of the organization that many of U.S. Western allies have refused to join, fearing the body board originally meant to help end the war between Israel and Hamas may be intended to replace the UN. The second phase of the U.S.-brokered Gaza ceasefire plan includes the disarmament of Hamas and the reconstruction of Gaza. So on the foreign scene, the U.S. state of New Mexico will reopen a criminal probe into a ranch once owned by Jeffrey Epstein, following allegations that the first Justice Department files on a convicted sex offender. State prosecutors said they will seek full access to unredacted Epstein files relating to the Zorro Ranch held by the federal investigators in Washington, D.C. They also pledged to work with Epstein's Truth Commission set up this week in New Mexico. Reports say the state shelved its initial investigation into the ranch in 2019 upon request from federal prosecutors in New York. Epstein, who died in Manhattan jail in 2019, faced no charges in New Mexico. Still to come in the news, Nottingham Forest defeats Fenerbahce 3-0 in a Europa League clash. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment. over to the concluding part of today's stories. On our business news, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has warned that about 50% of low-income countries are in or approaching debt distress, requiring urgent actions. Speaking at the ongoing technical group meeting of members of the Group of 24 Nations in Abuja, Edun also disclosed that debt servicing has become a major burden for many countries in the global south. He noted that total annual debt servicing payments by debtors countries in the global south was far above both inflows of overseas development assistance and foreign direct investment from the global north. According to him, about 25% of emerging and developing economies, EMDES, have lost access to international capital markets, making internally generated revenue more compelling than ever. Still in business, Nigeria currency Naira has strengthened sharply in recent weeks, reaching one of its strongest levels in nearly 2 years, even as rising foreign portfolio inflows increase the rates of investor profit taking later in the year. According to reports, the Naira has witnessed a steep appreciation in the official market, reaching one of the strongest levels of the past 2 years, which indicates improved liquidity conditions in the official foreign exchange window. However, the spread between the official and parallel markets persisted, with the parallel market initially trading at about a 5.7% premium before narrowing to roughly 3.2% following renewed FX intervention by the Central Bank of Nigeria. In health, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has urged the federal government to prioritize interventions critical to the survival of children. The UN agency said child survival remains central to its mandate, adding that it will continue to support intervention tailored towards improving outcomes for Nigerian children. A health specialist at UNICEF Nigeria, Dr. Fatima Chishi, made this known at the ongoing 4th National Oxygen Coordination Meeting organized by the Nigerian government and other development partners in Abuja. According to a statement released by the United for Oxygen Coalition in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Health, Chishi noted that untreated low levels of oxygen in children's blood can lead to life-threatening complications. She explained that UNICEF strongly advocates pediatrician inclusion as many severe childhood conditions depend on timely oxygen therapy. Still in health, experts in oncology have expressed concern over the rising burden of breast and cervical cancers in Africa, noting that over 70% of women present for diagnosis at advanced stages. The oncologists from South Africa, Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria raised the concern during an MSD virtual media roundtable theme, Women's Cancer Continuum across sub-Saharan Africa, turning insight into action. Speakers at the roundtable, Dr. Lasibikan of the Clinical Oncology Department, University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, Enugu, said cancer remained a crisis in Africa due to infrastructural gaps hindering diagnosis, treatment, and palliation. She identified diagnostic and therapeutic concerns, noting that a few radiotherapy centers were largely concentrated in teaching hospitals located in urban centers, leaving a huge population in rural and peri-urban areas without access to cancer care. We move now to sport, where Victor Pereira helped Nottingham Forest secure a stylish away win over Fenerbahce as it scored a commanding victory in the first leg of the Europa League knockout playoff tie. Forest controlled the match from start to finish, with Murillo opening the scoring before Igor Jesus doubled the lead, breaking Gary Breithaunt's club record for most goals in a single European campaign. Morgan Gibbs-White sealed the win after the break. Forest are now strong favourites to reach the last 16 ahead of the return leg at the City Round on 26 February. Still in sport, Manchester United are through to the quarter-finals of the Women's Champions League in their first season in the competition after beating Atletico Madrid. Mark Skinner's side navigated a two-leg playoff and won 5-0 on aggregate, having secured a 3-0 lead in Spain last week. With the win, United has set up a quarter-final meeting with Bayern Munich. United join English rivals Arsenal and Chelsea, who play each other in the last 8, with first legs taking place on 24th to 25th of March 2026. On entertainment news, Eric Dunn, the actor best known for his roles on Grey Anatomy and Euphoria, has died less than a year after revealing his sickness. Dunn, who passed away at 53, starred as family patriarch Carl Jacobs on hit HBO teen drama show Euphoria. Before that, he was best known as Dr. Mark Sloan or Dr. Mark Steamy on medical drama Grey's Anatomy. The California-born actor was diagnosed last year with ALS and spent the last few months raising awareness for most common form of motor neuron disease, MND. And that's all we have for you at this time. To ensure to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website at spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.